PP Radio. Hello, everyone. This is PP Radio. I am Lisa Blaylock. I'm not sure what time it is. I know it's Saturday. Let's see. It's 1 p.m. on a Saturday. And I am, I did in one of my last broadcasts, I said, just because, we're celebrating Women's Her Story Month right now doesn't mean that, only like the women that are doing good right now are the only ones that need to be recognized. Sometimes as women, we go through things. We are human beings. We will go through things just like everybody else. So some of us that we're recognizing this month, we're going through things. And so I just want to say a little bit about myself first. You might know me by many names. Empress Beef Jerky, DJ Cucumber. I like that one. But actually my name is Lisa Blaylock. And today I'm going to talk to you about two women. I think I posted it online like this. Two women from two different radio stations, linked by one foundation, and that is the Pacifica Foundation. So I would bring that other woman on here. Hopefully I can try to bring her on here later on so you can see both of us talking. But my data is kind of low right now, so I can only, just show you me talking right now. So anyways, like I said, this is a like a real true story, real life, two women from two different radio stations, one in Houston, one in LA, linked by the same foundation called the Pacifica Foundation. So I'm going to tell you more about myself because I don't have Holly Algo is the other woman I'm talking about in LA. I don't have her on the screen with us right now, so all I'm going to say, I'm going to talk more about her in just a moment, but I want to say that she does have a very important story to tell about the Pacifica Foundation. She's been all day on Radio Justice in LA, doing her thing, so hopefully we will be talking to her soon. So I want to start off with myself. Like I said, I'm Lisa Blaylock. That's my name. I am from Houston, Texas, born and raised. Come from a family of many generations that have been born and raised here in Houston. My family's pretty big, and we have some of our family members are also in radio, and I'm half Mexican from this side of the border in Texas, but I've been here for many generations. Like I said, my Mexican family has, and could probably trace it all the way back to when Texas was a part of Mexico. So I have like a really good history and knowledge of Texas history also because of this. I didn't do too well in school, but I'm very knowledgeable of Houston and Texas history. So I first heard of KPFT. See, KPFT is a part of the Pacifica Foundation. Here in Houston, it's KPFT. In LA with Holly, it is KPFK. So the main foundation is called the Pacifica Foundation, and they own all these stations. And there's several of them. There's not just two, there's several of these stations. So the one here is called KPFT. And I first heard of KPFT when I was a young girl. I must have been a young teenager and really enjoyed listening to it in the middle of the night. I'll take this off for a second. So I first heard about them when I was a young teenager, and really enjoyed listening to it. And that's all I thought of it. Just like, it's just a station. Didn't know anything else about it. Didn't know that they were supporting the local musicians. Nothing at all. So I also want to fast forward to when Hurricane Katrina happened. I was a little bit older then. I wasn't a teenager anymore. I'm a young adult now. And Hurricane Katrina happened. And I remember listening to KPFT and somebody covering what was happening, not just with Hurricane Katrina, but what was also happening with the Iraq War. And I remember recording a sample of them on KPFT and playing my guitar over it and speaking up against the war and what was happening with Hurricane Katrina and how we saw President Bush react to that. So, that's another thing I would think of KPFT when I would hear that, go back, I'm like, that's kind of an interesting radio station. I still didn't know very much about it. KKK, growing up, you start to learn here in Houston, Texas, that the KKK is very much real. It's not just some fairy tale made up. And racism does exist. We're in the dirty South. That's what it's called for a good reason. And, so that is nothing new. We knew that this had been going on. I knew before I ever joined KPFT that racism exists here. Politics. I was not at all into politics growing up. I was a punk rocker. You talked to me about politics. I didn't know anything what you're talking about other than the fact that I don't like our government. I don't like politics. I don't like all this boring stuff of people wearing suits and ties and just blah, 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 blah. That's how I always thought of it. So it's like, it definitely did not get started with KPFT to get involved in politics. I was, however, a part of the music scene. I had been playing music for a long time. I've been playing music since I was a little girl. Started playing in the Montrose at the age of 13. I've been a part of the music scene for a long time, so I knew a lot of people. When I was in my early 20s, there was a couple of record labels that wanted to sign me, and I turned them down. And I took a lot of pride in that. I took a lot of pride and turned them down. Not that I really wanted to. It was just that back then I was young and, did a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. So I kind of knew, in order to take care of myself, it's just better that I not sign with anyone and just take care of myself. So that's what I did. And also sound engineering history. I do want to throw that out there. I started when I was very young. Also, again, started off at Fitzgerald's, and I went there training to learn sound engineering there. And then I went to Rudyard's, trained over there, and then eventually ended up at the Last Concert Cafe, learning over there too as well. Never went to school for that. Just threw myself out there to the community wanting to learn. So I picked up all of those skills.
I'm not at home. Got away clean with my fake ID. No more school, no more mommy for me. No, still in cars and I'm breaking heart. I got away clean with my fake ID. Yeah, no more school, no more mommy for me. No, still in cars and I'm breaking hearts. Till it's do's and chills and it's acting smart. Dead feels in the danger zone. Well, I love you. I drunk and stoned. Dead feels if you're not alone. Well, I sleep on the streets and I'm not at home. To get busted. Oh yes, I was arrested. Oh God, how I protested. They beat me with the board. It hurt just like a sword. They kicked me in the eye. My brains begin to cry. This is like a movie. I think I'm going to scream. All the pain that I feel makes me feel mean. It's so sad and crazy here if I wake up from this dream. I think I'm going to. No, I'm going to. Can't stay at home, can't stay at school. Old folks say you're poor little fool. Down the street, on the girl next door. I'm the fox you've been waiting for. Hello, daddy. Hello, mom. I'm your cherry bomb. Hello, world. I'm your wild girl. I'm your cherry bomb. Stone Age looks sound, street sounds too. Come on, baby, let me get into you. Hard nights causing teenage blues. Get on now, 'cause you got nothing to lose. Hello, daddy. Hello, mom. I'm your cherry bomb. Hello, world. I'm your wild girl. I'm your cherry bomb. sinking 'cause it's sprung on a leak. The truth may take a while, 'cause we're living in a world of denial. If love was a ship sailing oceans deep, your ship sinking 'cause it sprung a leak. You'll learn the truth, but it may take a while, because we're living in a world of denial.
I think that is the right word I'm looking for, where somebody is being set up. And I think that's exactly what happened with me. I think they set me up. And I say they because I think this was a multiple person job with Rhonda and Dwayne Bradley to get rid of Night Sounds, to give Rhonda my hours. When Night Sounds, for all those years, we raised our goal, whatever the station asked us to raise, we raised it. And on days that weren't even pledge drive, we would do shows for the station and raise all this money. And we definitely brought in more funds than Radioactive and Rhonda's show. But it didn't matter to Rhonda or Dwayne. And it didn't make sense why all this is going on. I still don't get how people could be so cruel. So I went to go speak up against Rhonda and Dwayne and everything that was going on. And all the uncomfortableness that was going on. And I went to the board, and Rhonda refused to let me talk. She kept screaming the whole time, saying that she would sue this station if they let me talk. And once again, like I said, I have Asperger's syndrome, and if you yell at me so much, and if I'm in a room full of people where a person is yelling at me and the rest of the people are just watching and letting it happen, that's shame on you. Rhonda is so mean. So I would say that this leads, I want to say, when I met Obladike, Obladike had been working for the station many years, way before he ever became general manager. So I didn't get to meet Obladike before he became the manager. I just saw his picture on the wall, knew that he was a really good DJ. But I heard things with the station, things that were going on before Obladike became manager. I knew with Dwayne Bradley, the former manager, where he left off at as far as his work was as a manager and bringing Obladike in. And Obladike everything was just thrown on his lap, and he was expected to do the work of Superman. Impossible things for a human, superhuman task. Now, Obladike is an amazing man. I give him that. He is a Superman in his own right. But once again, I think that this was a group of people who had it out for him, just like they had it out for me. There was no reasoning to do this to us, but to get what they wanted, and you're still questioning, why would anybody do that? So, I want to say that I lost my show. Yes, I lost my show. I knew it was happening. Like I said, I felt under attack. I knew it was coming. First it was I'm being told that a couple of my hours are going to be taken away. Then I was told that my whole show is going to be taken away, and no, it wasn't. Then I was told, no, it's not going to be taken away. And then I was told, don't ever come back to the station again. You don't have a show anymore. So I continued to go to these board meetings and speak up, especially about the fact of Larry Winters, the new manager, because they fired Obladike. They fired Obladike, our first black general manager ever. They gave him 3 months. They fired him. Escorted him out of the building with the police. So cruel. And so cruel to do to somebody who's been working and volunteering for the station for that many years. And this is something I would speak up a lot in the board meetings. I would say, we obviously love the station. We're still coming here. We want this stuff to be resolved. But we're recognizing that this station is bigger than just KPFT. This is the Pacifica Foundation. And this company needs to have an H&R representative. When people are being harassed from people like Rhonda, who's all up in your face, and I mean like this close, like trying to intimidate you, yell at you, threaten to hit you, does swing at you, talk about your family, try to threaten you in all kinds of ways, then yeah, we need to have an HR representative at this company, people. You can't let this kind of stuff happen. And unfortunately, there's so many people in this community that love KPFT, that watch this happen, that love KPFT and love me, and even right now, refuse to watch this or even acknowledge that this is going on because they'd rather sweep it under the rug. Larry Winters talks shit about me having Asperger's syndrome. And I exposed him for that, for talking shit about me having Asperger's syndrome, saying I'm crazy, and he used those methods to get rid of me. You know, it was very weak of him to do that. And it really sucked. You know, I had friends once upon a time who said they cared about that, and then I started seeing them say, oh, Lisa, you should say you're sorry to Larry. You should tell him. You should tell him you're sorry. I'm like, why? Did he say he's sorry about calling me a fucking nut and talking about my Asperger's syndrome? Why do I owe Larry Winters an apology? He's not supposed to be there in the first place. Obladike Kamal was supposed to be the manager that they just fired and escorted out with the police. So I would go to all these board meetings, right? I would keep speaking up regardless of me losing my show. And I would say, look, you can't treat people with autism like this, especially when I never did anything wrong. I raised thousands of dollars for this station. I'm reliable. I've been here every week. And when I would DJ, not only did I DJ, but I would, you know, watch that whole building every time I was there. And how could this be happening? What did I do that was so wrong? And I do think I deserve an apology, but I don't think an apology is going to make Larry Winters any more of a good person or anybody that just sat back and watched this happen. I'm sorry. You know, how dare you, as my friends, tell me that I should have kept my mouth shut? Were you going to speak up for me? No. And I'm not asking you to. But I need to speak up for me. And you really don't need to tell me I need to keep my mouth shut. You don't need to tell me I did the worst thing ever, because I don't think so. I did ask the community, though, please go to these board meetings. Please act like you care a little bit more. Hear the whole story. And that didn't always happen. That did not happen, really. So anyways, I had to go have surgery, and that was the last board meeting I went to. I said, hey guys, guess what? I found out I have a tumor right here in my throat. Right here. And this is where I put my headphones at. And I'm a sound engineer, all this stuff, and I gotta go now get this tumor removed. And I went to that meeting, that was the last meeting, and I told him that, and I said, I hope I don't have cancer, I hope everything turns out okay. But I can't keep talking as loud as I can to speak up against your voice that's yelling at me. I cannot keep doing that anymore to myself. I'm going to hurt myself by doing that. So I went and had my surgery, and when I got out, you know, a lot's still going on, but with KPFT, I'm thankful I'm a break from KPFT. I need it. I need to heal. When I lost my show, Night Sounds at KPFT, the next weekend, Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. So I still love some of the people that are working at KPFT and have loved them for a long time and will always. I also love some of those that lost their show and will never get it back. some of those that were fired, some of those that never want to come back. I worry sometimes about the new DJs there that are excited and, oh, I got a show at KPFT, but they may not understand what we just went through, or maybe even trying to ignore it just because they get to be on KPFT. Well, this station, Pacifica Foundation, the whole Pacifica Foundation, all the radio stations they have everywhere, the one in Houston and the one in LA, started with activists. And if you tell an activist what to do or what to say, what they can and cannot say, and they actually listen to you, then they're not really doing their activism right. This station is changing. KPFT is changing. They're still asking for your pledges and for your money. But it's changing to commercial in the way that they're now getting funds from other companies so they can say their name on air, just like any other commercial radio. It's changing. And maybe some people feel like because of it's changing and it's turning commercial, that it's okay to act this way. But it's not okay. So I say to you, DJs, I say to you, if you are allowing this to happen and you're doing nothing about it, and just sitting back and thinking that you're reaping the riches of KPFT, think again. Are they paying you? Are you getting paid to DJ there? Or are they asking you to take money from the community? Now, there are some DJs there that do get paid. To the 99% of you who are not getting paid, is it worth it? Where's the money? So now I want to talk about Hallie Algo in LA. And I heard her story is a lot like mine. We're both Mexican. I'm in Houston, she's in LA. And the shows run by Mexicans in the Pacifica Foundation are like this many. And the few they have are being attacked just as much as Donald Trump tries to attack Mexicans and this stupid wall, border, bullshit. Holly had a friend who she was on a show with, and she helped like a co-host. And in LA, and her show, just like ours, was put with a gag order. And they were told they couldn't say this or that. Well, I can't tell you everything that happened, but I could tell you it was horrible. She was arrested and escorted out, just like Dr. Obladike Kamau here in Houston. She was arrested and escorted out by the police in LA, and some horrible, horrible, horrible things happened to her while that happened and afterwards. I will let her go more into details with you about that. But I will say that show, they lost their show in LA. Same situation here in Houston. Both gag orders, both lost our shows, both Mexicans. You say you don't like Donald Trump? I would say we talked and was, how can this happen? How can our situations be so similar. And she, asked me, do I know this person or that person out in LA? And unfortunately, I don't know everybody in LA, but I did have the opportunity by going to the board meetings to meet some of the board members and some of the national board members. Like I said, what's her name? Rhonda Gardner, that worked for the National Board of the Whole Pacifica Foundation. So I also met the executive director. He's the interim executive director, Bill Crozier. And he's here in Houston. So the whole Pacifica Foundation has all these stations from Houston to LA. Okay? The executive director of the whole Pacifica Foundation resides here in Houston. And his best friend, Rhonda, just so happens to be the one that had the show right before Night Sounds. And I had the pleasure of getting to know them. So, when we talked about it, we realized that this same man here in Houston has been doing damage out to those in LA too. Same foundation. So when we could, when I started to hear this, I could put two and two together. I could say, okay, now whose fault is this? Is this KPFT's fault? KPFK's fault? Our faults? The community for not helping more and not paying attention or listening or pushing it under the rug? Or is it the Pacifica Foundation's fault? If you really want to get down to business, a foundation that chooses not to have an H&R representative. When you have such a huge company, why would you not have an H&R representative when stuff like this happens? I don't like talking about this. But I say justice for Zaylee Algo. Look her up, XALLIALGO. I asked for your help, Houston. I asked for your help, community, with what I went through with Obladike and so
Del pueblo escuché un murmullo que recorre por los campos, lo poco que había de dicha ya se nos volvió quebranto. Ayer sembraba frijoles y hoy solo cosecho espanto, tanto desaparecido riego mis campos con llanto. Del pueblo se oye un murmullo que recorre por los vientos, el miedo a terror de estado va sembrando sufrimiento. 43 estudiantes secuestro el narcogobierno, regresen a sus cuarteles policías y regimientos. Se oye un lamento de Ayotzinapa y sus tierras, apenas puedo creerlo, Malaya mi suerte perra. Hoy nuestro propio gobierno nos ha declarado la guerra, hoy nuestro propio gobierno nos ha declarado la guerra. Del pueblo se oye el rugido, todos los fuegos se encienden, todos en un solo puño, a educar al que no entiende, que aquí el pueblo es el que manda, la dignidad no se vende, que aquí el pueblo es el que manda, la dignidad no se vende. Del pueblo se oyen clamores que no respetan fronteras, buscan pueblos y desiertos, llenan ciudades enteras. No he de vivir de rodillas aunque el gringo así lo quiera. Yo soy mexicana